Warnings. The following broadcast contains high-octane nightmare fuel gathered from the darkest corners of the internet. Keep your eyes on the road. Keep your doors locked. And whatever you do, don't look in the rear-view mirror. You are listening to Grave Shift, 18 Wheels to Hell.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Good to be back.
If you are a regular listener, you know the drill by now. Usually we're swimming in the waters of, complex tech trends.
Right. We're trying to figure out if AI is going to take our jobs, or we're untangling some really knotted geopolitical history.
Exactly. We like things we can measure. We like things we can graph and predict. We like logic.
We do.
But today, we are taking a hard left turn off the main road. We're pretty much throwing the charts out the window.
We really are. We're leaving the safe harbor of data and heading into something much more, visceral. We're dealing with an anecdote today.
It's just a story.
Just a story, yeah. But it's one that carries a weight that I think a lot of statistical studies just don't have.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
And we're going to a very specific place, and honestly, it's a darker corner of the deep dive than we usually visit. We're heading to Big Sky Country, Montana.
Yeah.
But not the postcard version.
Yeah. No, not the Yellowstone, Kevin Costner version with the, golden sunsets and the romanticized cowboys. We're looking at the other side of that isolation.
The much, much darker side. Specifically, we're going to try and transport you to 3:00 a.m. on Interstate 15.
Right.
Now, for the listeners who have never driven through the American West at night, I need you to really visualize this. When we say it's dark, we don't mean like suburban street with a street light out dark. We mean a void.
That is such a crucial distinction to make right at the top here. We need to set the atmospheric baseline, because on that stretch of highway between Great Falls and Helena, you're dealing with absolute crushing isolation.
Crushing is the right word.
There is no light pollution. There are no billboards advertising the next town. There are no farmhouses glowing in the distance. It is just miles and miles of nothing but sagebrush, ancient geology, and asphalt.
It's a sensory deprivation tank on wheels.
It really is. It's just you and the machine.
And that brings us to the source material we've got on the stack today. It's a first-hand account. And I want to be really clear about the provenance here, because usually, we're looking at peer-reviewed studies or journalistic articles.
Sure. Things with footnotes.
Things with footnotes, exactly. Today, we are analyzing a narrative account from a veteran truck driver, specifically the narrator's uncle.
And before the skeptic in our audience rolls their eyes, because I know you're out there, just waiting for the gotcha, the who in this story matters enormously.
Well, massively.
We aren't talking about a teenager out joyriding who got spooked by a shadow after watching a horror movie. We're talking about a professional hauler.
Right. This is someone whose entire livelihood depends on observation. He isn't a tourist looking at the mountains.
Precisely. Truck drivers, especially the veterans who drive the night shifts, they live in a world of hypervigilance. They know that road better than we know our own living rooms.
I mean, they have to.
They have to. They know the difference between a coyote, a deer, a drunk driver weaving, a blown tire, a shadow. Their brain is a categorization machine, constantly scanning and sorting. So when a professional like that tells you they saw something that broke their categorization machine,
You have to listen.
you have to listen.
So the mission for this deep dive is, it's simple on the surface, but it is going to get uncomfortable. We are going to analyze a single specific encounter.
Just one moment in time?
One moment. It's an encounter that starts with the most mundane, boring driving routine you can possibly imagine, and then in the span of maybe 10 seconds, it just shifts into absolute terror.
And that's the clash, isn't it? It's the clash between two worlds. You've got the rational, mechanical world of a professional truck driver, all gauges, speed limits, safety protocols.
The world of rule.
The world of rules, yes. And then you have an irrational visual that simply should not exist. It's a collision of logic and nightmare.
And just to tease what we're getting into, because I know you, the listener, are probably wondering where this is possibly going. We're going to obsess over some details that might seem small at first. Specifically, from my end, I want to talk about wardrobe.
Wardrobe, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
The blue coveralls. We're going to spend a lot of time unpacking why a monster wearing work clothes is, in my opinion, infinitely worse than a monster that's just, naked and hairy.
Okay, I see where you're going with that. And on my end, I want to look at the physics of this situation. I really want to play the skeptic for a minute. Lean into the prank theory.
Right. Could this have just been a guy in a costume?
Exactly. But then I want to look at the reality of a semi-truck. The sheer physics of it, and why lunging at one rules out almost any rational human explanation I can think of.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this. Let's get right into the cab of that truck. Set the baseline for us.
So context is everything. It's 3 in the morning. The uncle is driving Interstate 15. The road is completely empty.
No one else for miles.
Absolute silence, pitch black outside the cab. He's got the high beams on.
Let's pause on the high beams for a second, because I
Yeah.
think people, especially people who don't drive in rural areas, they underestimate modern or even classic truck lighting. It's not like the headlights on my sedan.
Oh, absolutely not. It's a world of difference. When you are in a rig, you're sitting that high up off the road, and with those high beams on in a desolate environment with no other light, you are pushing out a massive cone of visibility.
It's like a searchlight.
It is. You are illuminating a significant stretch of reality. You can see hundreds of yards ahead with perfect clarity. And this is crucial because it eliminates the, oh, it was just a blurry shadow argument right from the start.
He isn't squinting through fog.
No, he is bathing the world in front of him with thousands of lumens of light.
Right. So he can see a long way down this empty highway. He's in the zone. And this is where the expertise we talked about comes in. He's not a tourist looking at the scenery. He's scanning for hazards.
Oh.
He's looking for anything that might disrupt his momentum. A rock in the road. An animal. And he sees one.
He spots movement.
Crossing the median. And for those who don't know, that's the grassy or dirt strips separating the lanes of traffic. He sees a shape moving from the darkness on the other side into his cone of light.
And immediately, his brain does what it's been trained to do for thousands and thousands of hours on the road. It categorizes the threat.
And the category is
Deer.
which is the logical assumption. I mean, it's the only logical assumption in Montana at 3 a.m.
It's the most common large animal hazard by a country mile, and spotting it triggers a very specific professional response. We can call it the deer protocol.
Walk us through that, because my instinct, in a car, might be to swerve to avoid it.
And that is exactly what you should not do in a big rig. It's counterintuitive for a civilian driver, but if you are in a massive tractor trailer hauling, say, 50,000 pounds of cargo, swerving wildly is a recipe for absolute disaster.
You could flip it.
You can flip the trailer, you can jackknife, you can lose control and kill yourself and anyone else on the road. The protocol is brake firmly, but stay in your lane. You ease off the accelerator. You slow down to minimize the impact or damage if the animal does run in front of you.
You prepare to hit it if you have to.
You do, but you try to slow down enough so you don't completely obliterate it, or, more selfishly, your radiator in the front of your truck.
So he does what he's supposed to do. He drops his speed. He goes down to 30 miles per hour.
That is slow. On an interstate highway, that feels like you're crawling.
That is neighborhood speed. That's the speed you drive when you're looking for a house number on a quiet street.
Exactly.
And this is the detail that keeps me up at night regarding this story. Because he slowed down, he didn't just blow past this thing at 70 miles per hour.
That's the key variable here. It's the whole ball game. If he had stayed at highway speeds, this would have just been a weird blur, a flash of something unnatural in his peripheral vision.
He would have told his friends, I saw something weird last night. Maybe a bear standing up weird.
Precisely. But because he slowed to 30, he destroyed the ambiguity. He removed the possibility of misinterpretation.
You got a high-definition view.
A crystal clear, slow-motion look.
He closed the distance while moving at a crawl. He basically gave himself a front-row seat to the anomaly.
And that brings us to the shift.
The moment the categorization completely fails.
He's watching this deer. He's anticipating its next move. He's waiting for it to dart across the road or freeze in the headlights. That's what deer do. They are unpredictable biological machines.
But they're a known quantity.
A known quantity. But as he gets closer, the geometry of the thing changes. It stops being a horizontal shape like an animal on 4 legs, and it becomes a vertical shape.
It stands up.
It stands up on 2 legs.
Okay, so we need to talk about the uncanny valley here. We hear that term a lot in tech, right? Usually when we're talking about CGI in movies or humanoid robots.
Right, it's that dip in our emotional response where something looks almost human, but not quite. And it triggers this feeling of intense revulsion or, deep unease.
But in a real-world setting, like a dark highway, that effect is weaponized terror.
Yeah.
Your brain is scrambling to update its file system in real time.
It's trying to find the right folder.
Exactly. Deer is a safe folder. Wolf is a safe folder. Even person. That's unexpected, maybe alarming, but it's manageable. It's a known category.
But something that transitions from quadruped to biped, that just breaks the pattern. It corrupts the file.
It's a biological violation. Animals don't just stand up like humans. I mean, bears can stand, sure, but they look clumsy when they do it. They look top-heavy. This thing. The account says it stood up with intent.
It transitioned from an animal posture to a human posture smoothly, effortlessly.
And it's not just that it stood up. It's what he saw when the high beams fully hit it. And this is where we really need to stop and visualize this, because the details are so specific and they are so horrifying.
You mentioned the wardrobe earlier.
The blue coveralls.
Let's focus on that. The witness describes the figure as wearing blue coveralls. Mechanic style, or maybe butcher style.
Okay, here's where it gets really, really interesting for me. I want to obsess over this for a second. Why is that specific detail so much scarier than if he had just seen, I don't know, a hairy Bigfoot creature or some kind of naked mutant?
You tell me. You're the visualizer here.
Because coveralls imply culture. They imply intent. A wild animal is naked because it's part of nature. A monster, in most stories, is naked because it's primal. It's savage.
It's pure id.
Pure id, exactly. But if you see something wearing coveralls, that means at some point it got dressed.
It made a choice. Or someone made a choice for it.
Exactly. It implies a level of cognitive function that a simple beast shouldn't have. But let's look at the utility of coveralls. I mean, let's think about their design for a second.
Yeah.
What do coveralls have?
Well, they protect you from grime. They're functional.
Yeah.
And pockets.
Pockets. Why does this monster need pockets? This is the single detail that freaks me out the most. Does it have a wallet in there? Does it have keys to something? Does it have tools? A wrench? A pair of pliers?
That is a deeply disturbing thought.
It changes the entire dynamic. If it's wearing mechanic's coveralls, it suggests a role, a job. It suggests that this thing isn't just wandering the woods aimlessly. It's working. It has a routine. Maybe it even has a shift.
Right.
The juxtaposition of the banality of blue workwear, something you see on a plumber or a roadside assistance tech, versus the absolute horror of what was inside them. That is what makes this stick. It's the familiar wrapping around the unthinkable.
It grounds the horror in our reality. You know, if it was a ghost in a Victorian sheet, you can dismiss it as supernatural folklore. That's a story.
It's a story, yeah.
But if it's a guy in workwear, your brain says, that's a person. You expect a human face. But then you look up.
You look at the head.
The reveal. And the narrator's uncle is explicit here. It was a pig's head.
And before you say mask, because I know you want to say mask, I know the skeptical part of your brain has to go there first.
That is the very first place the rational mind goes. It has to be. Halloween mask, a prank, some college kids messing around with a costume from a party store.
The uncle just shuts that down immediately. He emphasizes critically, it was not a mask.
And we have to trust his perception here because of the conditions we already established, the lighting and the speed.
High beams, 30 miles per hour.
He talks about texture. That's the key. He didn't see latex. He didn't see the stiff, unnatural seam of a rubber mask where the neck meets the shoulders.
He saw flesh. He saw the wetness, the bristles, the gore. He said it was, and this is the quote, literally the head of a pig on his shoulder.
That phrasing is so specific and so horrifying. On his shoulder. It implies an anatomical wrongness. It's not just a head sitting neatly on a neck, but a bulky, heavy swine head just sort of sitting on a human-shaped torso.
It's biological horror. It's the butcher archetype, completely flipped on its head. Usually the butcher is the one wearing the coveralls and, dealing with the pig. Here, the pig is wearing the coveralls.
It evokes this slaughterhouse vibe, but it's transposed onto an empty highway where absolutely none of that belongs. It's an environmental contradiction.
So now we have the synthesized image. A man's body. Utilitarian, blue work clothes, pockets, maybe tools inside those pockets, and topping it all off, the gore and the biological reality of a severed yet somehow living animal head.
Standing in the median.
And the truck is now rolling past at 30 miles per hour.
This is the moment of contact.
The uncle panics. He does what any of us would do. He swerves into the left lane. He's trying to create distance. He wants to get as far away from this thing as the asphalt allows.
But the entity doesn't retreat. It doesn't get scared by the giant truck.
No, it runs toward the truck.
And this brings us to the analysis of the encounter itself, the physics and the intent. This is where I struggle with the prankster hypothesis and where I start to lean into the believer camp.
Okay, play devil's advocate for me for a second. Let's really try. Could it be a teenager? It's Montana. Kids get bored. Maybe they got a pig head from a local butcher shop and some coveralls and just wanted to scare drivers.
Okay, let's look at that. In a vacuum, yes, people do monumentally stupid things, people wear costumes, but we have to look at the environment and the physics. This is a semi-truck, a tractor-trailer.
It's not a Toyota Camry.
It is an 80,000-pound wall of steel and kinetic energy. Even at a relatively slow 30 miles per hour, that machine is an absolutely lethal force.
The wind alone would be intense.
The wind shear, exactly. It has massive wheels that will pull you under if you get too close. It is deafeningly loud. The engine roar, the air brakes hissing. It is terrifyingly large when you were standing next to it on foot.
Right, just standing next to a parked one is intimidating. Running at a moving one.
Exactly. Any rational human being, even a prankster, even a drunk teenager, has a self-preservation instinct wired deep into their DNA. You might wave at the truck, you might stand on the shoulder of the road to scare the driver, but you do not lunge at the cab.
And that's what it did. It lunged.
The source says it tried to grab the side of the truck, it reached for the door handle or for the ladder that drivers use to get into the cab.
Let's connect this back to your focus, the blue coveralls, for a second. If it has hands, or maybe gloves, and it's reaching for a door handle, it knows what a door handle is.
Oh, wow. That implies a terrifying level of understanding.
It understands human machinery. It knows how to get in. If a bear attacks a car, it mauls the metal, it bites the tires. It's a brute force attack. This thing reached for the handle. It knew the entry point.
And that single action, the lunge, that rules out the teenager in a mask theory for me entirely. Because to lunge at a moving semi-truck at 3 in the morning is a death wish. It is an active suicide attempt.
The risk of being crushed is near 100%.
It is. If you slip, if you misjudge the speed by a fraction of a second, you are gone. You're a smear on the asphalt. No human plays a prank with those odds.
So the conclusion is?
The conclusion is that the thing didn't care. It lacked human fear. It lacked self-preservation instincts regarding the vehicle. It's on 80,000-pound machine and thought, I can board that. That is not the behavior of a prankster. That is the behavior of an apex predator.
A predator that knows how to open doors. That's horrifying. So the uncle is in his cab. He's seen this thing reach for him. The window is the only thing separating them.
And the reaction is instantaneous. Adrenaline dump. Pure fight or flight.
And in this case, flight. This is the escape. The uncle hammers the gas pedal. He abandons the 30-mile-per-hour safety speed. He probably floored it, gears grinding, trying to get that massive engine to pull him away from this nightmare.
And this begins the psychological aftermath. The immediate physical danger is technically over once he pulls away. But the mental danger, the terror, that's just starting.
The mirrors.
Paranoia. Sheer, unadulterated paranoia.
He spends the rest of the drive just staring into those big side mirrors because he doesn't know. He doesn't know if he missed it.
Right. Did it grab on? Is it clinging to the back of the cab somewhere in a blind spot? Is it climbing the ladder right now?
Imagine that feeling. You're driving through the pitch black, and every shadow on the back of your truck, every flap of a tarp looks like a pig head. And you can't stop to check.
You can't.
Because if you stop, and it is there.
Then what?
Yeah.
The story says he drove all the way to Helena. He didn't slow down. He didn't stop until he hit the city limits. The safety of civilization versus the wild of the highway.
And this brings us to the lasting impact. Because this wasn't just a scary story he told at Thanksgiving once. This changed him.
PTSD is absolutely the right term here. There's a permanent change in his professional behavior.
The source mentions a new rule that he implemented for himself.
The new rule. To this day, when the uncle drives that specific stretch of road between Great Falls and Helena, he does not slow down. For anything.
Keep the hammer down.
Even if he sees something, even if he thinks it's a deer, he actively overrides the professional deer protocol we talked about earlier.
So wait, he'd rather hit a deer.
He would rather risk wrecking the truck, he would rather risk hitting a deer and dealing with thousands of dollars of damage than risk slowing down enough to see the pigman again.
That validates the encounter for me more than anything else. A veteran driver, a professional, doesn't change his lifelong safety habits over a hallucination.
No way.
He doesn't risk his livelihood and his rig for a shadow he thought he saw. He changes his habits because he survived something. He survived a predator.
He learned a lesson that night, and the lesson is, do not stop, do not look, just drive.
I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, which is the geography of this, Montana. Why does this story feel so uniquely suited to that specific landscape?
I think it's the scale of the empty space. In a city or even a suburb, if you see something scary, you can run to a house. You can find a streetlight. there's refuge.
There are other people.
There are other people. But in the gap between Great Falls and Helena, the emptiness is the dominant force, the pigman or whatever this was. It capitalizes on that vulnerability. It knows you are alone. It hunts in the isolation.
It reminds me of the concept of liminal spaces. We usually talk about that in terms of like empty malls or school hallways at night. But a highway at 3 a.m. is the ultimate liminal space.
Absolutely. It's a transition zone. You aren't supposed to live there. You're just supposed to pass through it as quickly as possible.
And this entity seems to inhabit that transition zone. It's waiting in the median. Think about that. The median is the space between. It's not on the left side of the road, not on the right. It's in the divide.
That's a great observation. It lives in the divide between lanes, and visually it lives in the divide between man and animal.
And between worker and monster with those coveralls.
It is a creature of the in-between.
Let's dig a little deeper into the job aspect. We joked about it having a wallet, but let's take the blue coveralls really seriously for a moment. If this isn't a prank, and if this isn't a hallucination, what are the implications of the clothing?
Well, there are a few possibilities, and none of them are pleasant. One, it stole them. It attacked a mechanic or another driver, maybe killed them, and took the clothes.
Which implies a level of dexterity, and again, that chilling intent. It didn't just shred the victim, it undressed them and then dressed itself. That's almost ritualistic.
It's very unsettling. Possibility two, it was given them.
Whoa. Okay. Given them by who?
And that opens up a whole other can of worms, doesn't it? Is there someone out there taking care of it? A family member, a keeper? Is this some kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre situation where someone is hiding a deformed, monstrous relative out in the middle of nowhere?
That puts a human antagonist in the mix.
Yeah.
Someone who goes to the store and buys the coveralls. Someone who washes them.
Maybe. Or possibility three, which I find almost as scary. It mimics, we see this in nature, camouflage. Maybe it understands that blue coveralls equals safety or authority on the road.
So the clothes are a lure.
Exactly, it's an anglerfish. The blue coveralls are the little glowing light. Hey, I'm just a worker, I might be in trouble, slow down. And when you do,
you get the lunch. Wow. That makes the uncle's decision to slow down for the deer even more chilling. The trap worked. He saw his shape. His professional brain said, exercise caution, and he slowed down. He fell for it.
And he was lucky enough to possess a vehicle large and powerful enough to escape. Imagine if he had been in a regular sedan.
Oh, man. If he had been in a sedan, the driver's side window would have been at eye level with the creature.
And the door handle would have been much, much easier to reach.
We wouldn't be analyzing a story from an uncle. We'd be reading a cold case file about a missing person.
It's highly probable.
I want to talk about the pig aspect again. Pigs are interesting animals biologically. They're smart.
Extremely smart. And genetically, they are uncomfortably close to humans in some ways. I mean, we use pig heart valves in human transplants. Forensic scientists often use pig carcasses in decomposition studies because their skin and tissue composition resembles human tissue so closely.
So a pig-man hybrid isn't just a random, monstrous combination. It's a mixing of two very intelligent and in some ways very compatible biological templates.
And pigs are omnivores. They are aggressive, if you've ever been around them. You know, if you fall into a pig pen, they will eat you. They have no qualms about consuming flesh.
So this creature, theoretically, combines the aggression and raw hunger of a swine with the tool-using capability and problem-solving skills of a human.
And the size! Don't forget the size. A full-grown boar is a tank of muscle and bone. If this thing had the mass of a large boar and the agility of a man, stopping the truck was the only thing that saved him.
It really reinforces the death wish analysis you gave earlier. Lunging at the truck wasn't necessarily stupidity, it might have been confidence.
That is a terrifying thought.
It might have thought it was strong enough to stop the truck, or at least survive the impact and get inside.
That it wasn't a suicide run, but a calculated boarding action.
Wow. So what does this all mean? Let's try to synthesize this for the listener who is maybe driving on a lonely road right now.
Okay, well, we have a figure that occupies the uncanny valley in almost every conceivable way. It sits between human and animal. It sits between civilized, represented by the clothes, and savage, represented by the raw flesh of the head.
It turns a lonely highway, a piece of civil engineering, into a hunting ground. And it disrupts our understanding of what belongs where. Pigs belong on farms. Coveralls belong in garages. Neither of them belongs in the median of Interstate 15 at 3 a.m. lunging at trucks.
It forces you, the listener, to question what is actually out there in those vast, empty spaces we drive through. We like to think the highway is a controlled environment. We pay taxes for it. It's paved. It's patrolled.
A safe corridor.
Exactly. But this story suggests that the highway is just a thin ribbon of safety cutting through something much older and much stranger. The asphalt is a veneer.
A very thin veneer. And if you slow down at the wrong time, you pierce that veneer.
You see what's underneath.
There's another layer to the new rule the uncle has: never slow down. It's almost a philosophical stance. Well, it's a rejection of curiosity. Usually, as humans, we are curious. If we see something weird, we want to look. You want to know what it is. It's our nature. But his survival now depends on ignoring the anomaly. It's the opposite of what we do here on the deep dive. We always say, look closer. He's saying, look away, go faster.
That's a primal survival mechanism. In the wild, curiosity can absolutely kill you. If you hear a weird noise in the bush and you go to investigate, you get eaten. If you run away, you live. He has reverted to a primal survival state on that stretch of road.
It's a sobering lesson. Sometimes the deep dive is dangerous. Sometimes you shouldn't ask what was that. You should just accept that you really don't want to know the answer.
Ignorance is safety. Speed is safety.
I want to leave the listener with one final provocative thought. It goes back to my obsession, the blue coveralls. We talked about where it might have gotten them.
Right. Stolen, given, mimicry.
But I want to ask, why is it wearing them? We touched on the lure theory.
Which is pretty compelling.
It is, but what if it's not a lure? What if it's a uniform?
A uniform implies an organization, a structure.
Exactly. If you see a guy in a UPS uniform, you assume there's a UPS headquarters somewhere. If you see a soldier, you know there is an army. If this thing is wearing a specific type of blue coverall, does that imply there are more of them?
Or that it has a specific function, a designated role.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it maintaining the road in some twisted way? Is it patrolling a territory? Or, and this is the one that really gets me, is it waiting for a breakdown?
That is the nightmare scenario right there.
Think about it. We trust mechanics. If you break down on I-15 at 2 in the morning, smoke pouring out of your hood, and you see a figure in blue mechanics coveralls walking towards you out of the dark, your first instinct is relief.
Oh, thank God, help is here.
You roll down the window, you unlock the door,
Yeah.
you're ready to explain what's wrong with your engine.
And by the time you realize he has a pig's head, it's much, much too late.
So the advice is, if you break down in Montana,
Maybe don't unlock the door, not right away.
check the face before you check the badge.
Definitely do not unlock the door.
And honestly, maybe just make sure your car is in good shape before you even leave Great Falls.
Check your oil, check your tires. Do not give the pigman a reason to come check on you.
Keep your eyes on the road, keep the hammer down, and if you see something in the median, assume it's a deer, but drive like it's a monster.
Safe travels, everyone.
This has been The Deep Dive. We'll see you
Keep the shiny side up and the shadows in your rear view. You've survived another grave shift. Over and out.